All right, well, today is August the 5th, 2018, and right now at 9 p.m., we have a temperature of 77 degrees here in the foothills of Los Angeles. The relative humidity is 46%. The dew point is up at 55 degrees, and the barometer is at 29.95 inches. All right, so right now we're looking at the Northeast Pacific water vapor loop. We have Hurricane Hector right here. This is a Category 4 with 140 mile per hour winds. This hurricane is moving due west and is scheduled to skirt the large island down here, the big island of Hawaii, later on in the middle of this week. Also, we see another thunderstorm right here popping up, and this is being targeted. We can see a blast pattern there on the north side. Also, we have three other storms right out here. Let's go ahead and look at the Hurricane Center map. We've got Hector here, of course. That's a strong Category 4 right there with 947 millibar central pressure, moving west at 14 miles per hour. Now, right here, we have another disturbance right behind Hector with a 60% chance of hurricane formation in 48 hours. Now, right behind this thing here, we have John, which is a tropical storm with 40 mile per hour winds. That system is moving northwest at 8 miles per hour. And then we have, I believe it's Ileana, with this is a tropical storm with 50 mile per hour winds, slightly stronger than John. And this storm is also moving to it's moving west northwest at 13. So we've got the potential for actually three more hurricanes right behind Hector. Let's take a look at the track for Hector right here. We can see that by Wednesday, this storm may get pretty close to the big island of Hawaii right there. We'll have to keep an eye on this situation. Now, remember that these terrorists have complete control of our weather, and at any time, this storm could be squashed. It could be killed off with microwave. We could blow it apart, completely disrupt the convective process in that storm, or they could run it into Hawaii and do some major damage. If you've got a lot of money to play with and you have a lot of put options on insurance and different things, you can clean up. And that's what's been going on here with our weather. We've got insiders cleaning up on insurance claims and different things that are into the tens of millions, hundreds of millions, and billions of dollars. So that needs to be looked at. The fake news media will not discuss this matter. This is a criminal operation. We have a crime syndicate in our country, the FBI, and they should be completely gutted. Those people should be going after the people, these terrorists that are controlling our weather. Let's go back to the maps and take a look. Here we have these storms right here, and we see that high pressure has been built in throughout the area. We can see that right here between this Hurricane Hector and the islands, we have some high pressure building in. We can see this very dry area down here on this scale. Let me get rid of this blank. Get rid of that screen. There we go. Okay. So we have some high pressure building in here, and this storm may be redirected away from the big island, just depending on what happens. We have some low pressure here. This is not indicated on the pressure maps. Up here, a couple of days ago, we had a gale force system. I think this was about 995 millibar a couple of days ago. This was a gale generating 20-foot seas. Now we can see that there's a sort of a right angle on this system. It's still generating a lot of high seas. We'll take a look at the maps on that here in a minute. Next, over here, over Southern California, we have a very hot weather on the way. We can see that we have a area of high pressure that's bulldozing away this moisture, this monsoonal flow. We also have a big cell is right here, which is being disrupted and superheated. We'll take a look at that. Also, we see high pressure being installed in this area down here in the eastern East Pacific, which will prevent these two storms, or rather these three developing storms from moving north. You can see that here. This is all these cutouts here are fairly easy to see. We can see some manipulation right here, right in that area. Something has been targeted right there. Now also we have a low pressure developing right over central Mexico, right here. And we can see the high pressure that's been installed between this developing low and all of this thunderstorm activity, this monsoonal thunderstorm activity right here, running diagonally through New Mexico. Okay, let's take a look at the infrared map, and we can see the eye wall on Hurricane Hector right there. Fairly well-defined eye wall right there. We have this weather system here. This should be dropping down and delivering rain, but again, we have high pressure installed over the area, which will prevent that rain. We've got criminals operating and controlling our weather. Now here we see the western U.S. Water vapor loop. You can see that giant weather system up here with a sort of a right angle on it right there. Got another problem here with that last frame. All the frames on the last frames on all these videos are blank, so it's annoying to see the flash. All right, so here we see once again that low pressure over Mexico right there being blockaded by some high pressure that's been installed. We can see the evaporation as the moisture right here flows into that zone. Now take a look right here. We see a system right there being targeted. We'll take a close look at that here on the southwest maps. Now right here over the Arizona-Mexico border, we see this developing thunderstorm being superheated right there. We see a pressure wave right there at the last few frames. And then we see the color diminishment, and then we have a secondary targeting right there. Let's go ahead and look at the visible light map, and let's run that. And we can see some good detail here as we scroll through. Right in this area, we have a primary and a secondary pressure wave develop on that. This is a very large thunderstorm system developing, and that is being squashed out. And let's go ahead and we'll stop this and run through it very slowly, frame by frame, and we can see what happens. We see the development here. And we see the first pressure wave right there. We see the expanding pressure wave moving out radially from the targeted center. That is disrupting the lift of this developing weather system. It's disrupting the convective process. Now, as we scroll to the next frame, we can see that there's a secondary superheating event, which is right there. So let me run through it one more time. We can see it right here. We have the first pressure wave, and we have the second one right there. So we have two of them, one right there, and the second one is right there. So this is how they're disrupting and stopping the thunderstorm activity here in California. You can see that because of that low that's developing over Mexico, they are disrupting the thunderstorm activity here in this area. Now, if we look at the Doppler map, we can see that there is a little bit of rain in this area. Let's go ahead and load that map up. We'll come back to it here in a second. Getting back to the southwest infrared map, we can see that detail, that superheating detail right here on this developing thunderstorm system. We see the color change, goes from a deep red, and then we see a collapse. But this is a very large system, so it rebuilds very quickly down here in the southern part. This is a very large area right here. And this goes on every day. I've just taken a few days off, again, just to get away from all this stuff. It's kind of hard to do this day in and day out and keep your sanity. Okay, let's take a look here at the surface analysis map. We have this low pressure system right off of Washington and Oregon and California right here. This is now a 999 millibar. This was moving south as of a couple of days ago. We see an occluded front. This purple area right here is an occluded front. We have a sort of a quasi right angle on the center of this, and that's so we've got a warm front overtaking a cold front right in the middle of a gale force weather system. This is one of the reasons why these puppets on television don't show us the weather, because it wouldn't make any sense. A conventional weather theory does not apply. This cannot be explained away on showing these maps on television. So that's why they're not shown on television. They don't show us the maps. That's the answer. Just don't show it to the public. They don't know. They won't know what they don't know. All right. Now this system here a couple of days ago was generating some very high swells. Let's take a look today at what's happening. We see 13, 12, and 13-foot swells right there near the center. Down here off of Southern California, we have 9-foot swells. We have a lot of high seas here, between 10 and 12, 13 feet, all in this area. So this was a gale force system, and now it's just a low pressure system. And that should have moved south right into our area. It was basically moving right towards sort of in a southeasterly direction. And now it's basically stalled in place. We can see that there's no, it's just basically stationary right now. So we'll keep an eye on Hector down here and the rest of these storms. We can see that there's an effort being made by the outline, these cutouts here, to prevent these storms from moving north near this low pressure and getting mixed up with this thunderstorm activity here. Keep an eye on the situation here with the Hawaiian Islands. Now, what's interesting, what's going on with the Trump administration is that last month, a new branch of the armed services was announced. Trump wants to begin the space force. He wants to create a new branch of government, of the armed services, the space force, and that'll be interesting because that will force a reorganization, and during that process, hopefully, the administration's people will learn some of the mechanics of how these systems are being stopped and how our weather is being manipulated. The Air Force is involved in manipulating our weather. They have transmitters. I believe that they're running these NOAA, these National Weather Service satellites are being controlled in part by NASA, the Air Force, and also the Defense Meteorological Agency, along with which is part of the State Department. The ground-based NEXRAD WSR-88Ds are also managed by the State Department. So all this stuff that's going on has to do with space-based transmitters, and all that is going to be exposed. It'll have to be, because during the reorganization, some of this is going to have to, it will be exposed. And the other thing going on with the Trump administration in California is that California is going to be prohibited from mandating emission standards to the automakers, and that's going to make a big effect on the price of cars here in California. We've got the toughest emission standards anywhere. We have to have our cars smogged every 2 years, and that costs a fair amount of money. And of course, the registration fees in this state have gone way up because we have a completely incompetent government that wastes money. It's a Democrat-run government. All the Democrat legislatures around the country are broke, and so here in this state it's no different. And so they're going to strip, that is, the Trump administration is going to strip the ability of California to mandate auto emission standards to these automakers, and that's going to help loosen things up. We've got chemtrails being sprayed in the skies. Nothing is being done about that. If the state of California wants to make itself useful, they can get on board with this, the aerosol spraying, find out who's doing it, and prohibit it, because that is the biggest pollution of all. Okay. All right. So I'm running out of time, and that's it. We'll just leave it right here, and we'll do another one soon. That's it.